And we, of course, are following all the breaking news stories connected to the police state updates and the massive, massive amounts of terror drills and sinister connections and intelligence fingerprints that we can track here in the world. Quickly closing up our police state updates, terror drills, and the rehearsal of misfortune. Cop punches 17-year-old girl in the face, and girl initially charged with assaulting a cop. However, the update is that the Seattle officer under fire for punching girl in the face. More on that from KOMO TV out of Seattle, as well as Raw Story. Gordon Duff on mycatbirdseat.com getting into the aforementioned analogy of the fox in the henhouse, asking if we can trust Israeli security companies. That's a big, huge question to drop and then not really dive into, but we're pretty much running out of time on this episode 174. MSNBC, again, cover-up of manifestly provable depopulation plan going on. We've also got Professor Boyle saying that only global governance can save us from a century of chaos. Delaware DMV unveils new secure ID cards. And finally, the Memphis mayor looks south of the border for economic opportunities.
Memphis Mayor A.C. Wharton is back tonight from his trip to Mexico. He spent 2 days meeting with Mexican leaders on how to improve trade. Eyewitness News reporter Jenny DiPrizio talked with the mayor today about why he went and where he went and what he accomplished. Jen?
Cameron, Wharton says he's appointed a team to immediately start working with a group in Mexico. The big picture, bringing more jobs to Memphis. Memphis is America's distribution hub with planes and trains and trucks. Mayor A.C. Wharton hopes he can turn the Bluff City into
maybe making Memphis, Tennessee, the one-stop shop where Mexican products come into here. We take them and handle them, and we're America's distribution center. We get them out to the rest of the United States.
Mexico is this country's second largest trading partner. Even the planned I-69 international highway that will run from Canada to Mexico will run right through Memphis.
This could become the break point. This could become one of the brains, the central points of the I-69 commerce. So this is why Memphis is a logical place.
At Latino Memphis, those in the Hispanic community support Wharton.
We don't see this issue as an issue impacting Hispanics. We see this as an issue about impacting the whole community. You know, I mean, he could have gone to Chile, for that matter, or to China.
In some parts of the country, anti-immigration sentiments are high. So is Wharton's push for Mexican trade a way to capitalize on that?
It's a matter about trying to take advantage of what's going on in Arizona. We're simply showing them that we are sensitive to every group in our town.
I think all dollars are green, and when you talk about economic development, you know, people see beyond immigration and race and color. You know, they just want a piece of the pie.
Now, Wharton says he expects to sign an agreement called the 3 M's. It stands for Memphis, Monterey, and Montreal. Those are the 3 cities that the superhighway will run through. Of course, we're still waiting on details on just what that agreement is all about. In the studio, Jenny DiPrizio, ABC 24 Eyewitness News.
All right, Jenny, Mayor Wharton went to Mexico with members of the Chamber of Commerce and leaders of several of the largest companies in Memphis, including FedEx and Medtronic. No word on when they'll be going back.
In one little simple regional story, you've got a lot of the game plan laid out and connected, where essentially there you have that news organization as well as the mayor of Memphis admitting, yes, there's the NAFTA superhighway and it's going to go all the way down. And it's going to be connected to, of course, what we see with the national ID card, the worker's ID card, the biometric identification card. All of this connects. They said the 3 M's. We've also got the SPP. Call it what you want. The plans are there. Quickly now from AllGov, we ask, are drones coming to U.S. skies? FAA under pressure to open the U.S. skies to drones. It likely is just a matter of time before unmanned aircraft, including the type being used in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Pakistan, are flying over America's friendly skies. State and federal officials, especially the Department of Homeland Stupidity, are pressuring the FAA to allow pilotless planes of all sizes to move through U.S. airspace in order to carry out a variety of missions. Border Patrol, of course, being just one, and all of these stories, again, as we always say, are intimately connected. Quickly now, we'll close out the show with a little bit of history mystery. FBI releases 2,352 pages on Ted Kennedy documenting sex and threats. Marilyn Monroe sex parties, death threats, and Richard Nixon secret Ted Kennedy documents revealed.
Kennedy files kept secret for decades and now declassified. Thousands of pages, most of them about death threats and extortion attempts against Massachusetts Senator Ted Kennedy. Good evening, everyone. Those threats came literally from all directions. The KKK, the mob, even individual people. We have team coverage for you tonight, beginning with Janet Wu, and a first look at the life of a man under intense scrutiny and security throughout his long public career.
Threats that plagued the late senator for his entire adult life consumes the vast majority of his FBI dossier. They were haunting, constant, and their intensity only picked up after Chappaquiddick and the 1968 assassination of his brother, Robert Kennedy, at a Los Angeles hotel. Within days, an internal FBI memo to J. Edgar Hoover pleaded, please make sure that Ted Kennedy gets all the protection he needs. We are down to one Kennedy.
For the last 50 years of Ted Kennedy's life, he regularly had threats made on his life. And I think people don't know and understand that. You would never know it from him.
On June 11th, 1 week after RFK's assassination, the Secret Service asked for stepped-up protection. The kind of mind that thinks about political assassinations is likely to find the last Kennedy's son particularly alluring. And then this threat from an unnamed white Atlanta man who said KKK, Kennedy, King, Kennedy. Get it? KKK. Now there is only one to go, Teddy.
Ted Kennedy must have read many of these crossing his desk, and particularly after the deaths of his brothers. You can see why he more or less engaged in what we would consider aberrant social behavior, turned to the bottle and other things to, relieve the constant stress. His life was constantly under threat.
On top of the threats, there are more lurid scandals, including the one that Kennedy and brother-in-law Peter Lawford were involved in sex parties at a New York City hotel in mid-1960s. Frank Sinatra and Marilyn Monroe are also mentioned as being in on mob threats against Ted Kennedy. A confidential source told the FBI the mafia was unhappy about then Attorney General Bobby Kennedy's investigations, so they wanted to put both Bobby and Ted Kennedy in compromising positions.
And the file ends when he makes it completely clear he will never run for president.
And what's interesting from my perspective is what's not there. Where are the Nixon White House documents or memos? They were obsessed with Ted Kennedy, particularly over the Chappaquiddick incident, and you don't see any of that here. My question is, well, why not?
Another surprising detail in Kennedy's FBI file, one threat came from the son of the infamous Chicago mobster Al Capone. Sonny Capone was 50 years old at the time. The FBI's notes say he appeared intoxicated when he called in a death threat against Kennedy from a Florida restaurant. Janet Wu, News Center 5.
And that's how we're going to close out this episode 174 of MediaMonarchy.com. Of course, recording from home in the studios of Media Monarchy. PRA under construction. Quickly, though, I forgot last week, ran out of time to mention our creepy customers coming to MediaMonarchy.com. Of course, I keep track of the interesting visitors to the website. We had U.S. Government GSA LSA Reg 9. We had Atlantic Media Company, Michigan Legislative Council, the Yale Hospital via WhatReallyHappened.com, Boeing out of Everett, Washington, the DEA out of Alexandria, Virginia, Grandma's Cookies out of Clarksburg, West Virginia, the Navy Network Information Center out of Virginia Beach, Virginia, and Oceanside, California, and the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office out of Alexandria, Virginia. We had FEMA out of Denton, Texas, a couple of times, Googling Minot Air Force Base ICBM map. We also had the Naval Ocean Systems Center, the Iowa Annual Conference of United Methodist Church, all that and so much more, my friends, visiting MediaMonarchy.com. If they are, you should too. And that's how it's going to go. All the things I've said, I mean, and I thank you for all your help. And I appreciate it. Get in touch with me, spread the word, share the show, and we'll keep getting stronger. Amazingly enough, my friends, next week is the 175th episode of MediaMonarchy.com. I couldn't do it without you. My name's James Evan Pilato. I am the host and webmaster of MediaMonarchy.com, your source for alternative news, politics, conspiracies, and cover-ups, reminding you, as always, to get active or get radioactive. Take care.
MediaMonarchy.com is your source for alternative news, politics, conspiracies, and cover-up.